Yeah, it's continuity from one generation to the next in regards, in response to, or as a statement to the recent Radical Student Congress event. So Stokely Carmichael was born July 29th, 1941, Port of Spain, Trinidad. He died November 15th, 1998, in Conakry, Guinea. Author and writer who inaugurated the Black Power movement of the 1960s. He wasn't the first to use the term Black Power, but he made it famous. He was critical of Martin Luther King's peaceful approach. He instead advanced a more militant stance on civil rights as chairperson of SNCC in the 1960s, better known as SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. A native of Trinidad, Carmichael moved with his family to a mostly white neighborhood in the Bronx, New York, when he was 11 years old. He graduated from the Bronx High School of Science in 1960, and 4 years later from Howard University in Washington, D.C., with a bachelor's degree in philosophy. Kwame Ture, which is what he later changed his name to, became involved in civil rights protests during his years at Howard. He participated in demonstrations staged by the Congress of Racial Equality, the Nonviolent Action Committee, and SNCC. He was arrested as a freedom rider in 1961 and served 7 weeks in Parchment Penitentiary for violating Mississippi's segregation laws. He returned to the South after college and devoted himself to the organization of SNCC's Black Voter Registration Project in Lowndes County, Alabama. There, he also created an independent political party called the Lowndes County Freedom Organization, which used the Black Panther as its symbol. Kwame became chairman of SNCC in 1966. He catapulted into the national spotlight in August of that year when he ended his speech with a call for Black Power. Black Power became a rallying cry for the Black protests during the 1960s and 70s. A 1967 world tour to publicize the struggle in the United States brought Kwame more attention from Washington, D.C. His passport was revoked for visiting Cuba, and when returned to the United States, he faced indictment for sedition. However, he was never personally prosecuted. The following year, he became Prime Minister of the Black Panther Party. After relocating to Africa with his wife, Miriam Makeba, he later changed his name to Kwame Ture, where he continued to travel and lecture on U.S. imperialism, Pan-Africanism, and socialism until his death from cancer in November 1998. Let's honor this brother who was a giant amongst men with a round of applause and the commitment to continue his work. One of the reasons I wanted to highlight and honor Brother Kwame is because I want to establish the continuity of our struggle from one generation to the next. I also want to highlight the sacrifices this brother made, the commitment, and his background as a what? A radical student. As someone whose politics evolved but joined the fight 1,000% and went into the trenches of the segregated South where people were being lynched and hunted by the Klan, where students were being murdered and disappeared. This took commitment. It also took having a vision of what it is we are fighting for, what we are struggling for, what kind of society and world do we want to live in. If you hate racism, fascism, neocolonialism, sexism, heterosexism, and homophobia, you got to organize and fight against it. If you hate poverty, genocide, and super exploitation and mass incarceration, you got to organize against it. Organize against something means that we recognize a problem exists and choose to be proactive instead of reactive. It means developing a strategy and adopting the tactics to help implement and facilitate that strategy. This is what this Congress is about. We want to get better organized, we want to become more serious, and we want to be offensive orientated and not allow the state or self-serving interest groups to dictate the rules of engagement. We establish the rules, we set the tone and temperament. Students, workers, and young people have always been in the forefront of any serious movement or revolutionary process. When we talk about a Congress, we're talking about a congregation of different representatives and organizations that are centralized within a body that can facilitate serious discussions of critical and pressing issues, such as genocide, both domestic and foreign, such as national liberation struggles, both within the U.S. empire and outside of it, educating ourselves about the various political movements and showing the intersectionality of our struggles. What does radical prison abolition look like versus passive prison reform? What does radical support look like for political prisoners and prisoners of war, whether it be in the U.S. Guantanamo Bay or occupied Palestine? We wanted to set up a core Congress of reps and put a system in place where we can communicate through encrypted threads for general news, updates, and discussions. This will help us better coordinate communication. We want to develop an ERN, emergency response network, amongst all the reps, which should function as a national/international network for action alerts. We want to ask the various representatives to break down into their regions and develop region organizing committees that can not only take responsibility for their region and zone, but can communicate back to the larger Congress the issues and reality at that particular region or zone. This way we can all discuss and properly assess the situation and how we might best move on it. Every group and participant has its own autonomy. We want to put a structure in place where we can better coordinate and move as a collective force if we call for a nationwide student walkout or a general strike. We can move as one. If there's a call for a nationwide prison work strike, we can call on critical support from this network. If we want to organize direct action on the day of disobedience demanding the repeal of Bill Clinton's racist crime bill, for example, we can coordinate and put boots on the ground. If they kill a political prisoner or rape a political prisoner comrade, a female political prisoner comrade, it should not be business as usual. There should be a national response. Why do we protest? If you're revolutionary orientated, then we are about sharpening the social contradictions and economical contradictions that push us closer to that revolutionary struggle and confrontation as we struggle to dismantle capitalism and imperialism. We supposedly to be simultaneously constructing an infrastructure that can function as a parallel form of people's government, the creation of institutions that are capable of meeting the needs of the people, institutions that are winning the hearts and minds of the people over to the revolutionary process. We have to be in the communities pushing the line and meeting the needs of the people. What you see Trump doing is structure and will impact for generations. His policies are straight out of Hitler's playbook. This shit is serious, and if this is just a phase for you while you go to school, then can you please leave us now? This is not what this is about. I would also invite you to check out the sites of the Spirit of Mandela and hit on the tab for the People's Senate, also the site for Prison Lives Matter, and the RebuildCollective.org. There's a quote from George Joshua who said, once you become conscious, there is no such thing as becoming unconscious. Thereafter, it is only betrayal. Peace. Free the land. Shaka Shakur.